Breaking news. Ukraine's volunteer military is getting ready for the long haul. The daily fare includes a day spent in Koval, a small city in northwest Ukraine not far from the Belarusian border. I'll be elsewhere by the time you read this. While there, I had the opportunity to meet with Ihor Cheka, the mayor of the city, and the head of a Ukrainian civilian defense unit. The end of this war is nowhere in sight. In the Ukraine field, Ukraine. Koval, the commander of one of Ukraine's civilian defense units, spoke with me the day before yesterday. I'm not sure if this man wanted me to use his name, so I'll err on the side of caution and use one of his nicknames, Wolf. Imagine something akin to the United States Office of Civilian Defense during World War II, except with guns and ready to fight Russian soldiers if they come rolling into town, as they have. He served for the majority of his life in the Ukrainian Armed Forces, and he has visited the United States twice, once in the late 1990s and again in the late 2000s, for training with the United States Armed Forces. Although his command of the English language is excellent, he did on occasion ask our translator for clarification on how to properly translate a specific term. After retiring from the military due to an injury in 2017, he now teaches Ukrainian civilians how to protect themselves and their neighborhoods. Wolf teaches martial arts, and many of his former students have joined the Ukrainian military, where, as he puts it with great pride, they have become good leaders of their squads. Then his previously neutral expression darkened. 2 people have lost their lives so far. He told me he instructs Ukrainian civilians who have volunteered for military service in basic training, marksmanship, how to settle mines, I presume he meant defuse, how to clear trenches, how to camouflage. He said that he and his coworkers have taught civilians how to make bottles, and after some back and forth, we realized that he was referring to Molotov cocktails, which are incendiary weapons made by hand and thrown, typically containing alcohol or fuel in a bottle with a fuse, and designed to shatter and spread fire over a targeted area. The bottles are still here in boxes, he continued. Wolf was interviewed in the city of Koval, Ukraine, which has a population of around 67,000, about the same as Centerville, Virginia. This city is located about 40 miles south of Ukraine's border with Belarus. Even though Koval is not now a battleground, the war has had a profound impact on the lives of its residents. The city has experienced 47 fatalities among its male population while serving in the Ukrainian Armed Forces, is frequently subject to air raid sirens, and had no electricity for 2 days last winter after bombs hit the power station. Concern over whether or not Belarus would allow its territory to be used to launch a ground offensive has dominated this part of Ukraine's focus for the better part of the past year and a half. A few weeks ago, it looked like Russia had pulled all of its military planes and helicopters out of Belarus, but in a war, nothing is certain or clear. Similarly to what I was told by Mayor Cheka, I was told by Wolf that the war did not officially begin until 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea and began harassing attacks in the Donbass region. The Russians have been our enemy whether it be the year 2000, 2014, or now. And Wolf spoke up. It's the same thing every time. We tried to get the young people ready by encouraging them to join the military. Become a squad leader and work your way up to officer status. No one was prepared in 2014. Wolf thinks the war will last at least 3 or 4 years and that it will not end anytime soon. World War II, Stalin, and Putin, he explained, are all things of the past. Putin will not stop no matter how many people die. He is not going to give up, even if he loses $5 million or $10 million. Take a look at the events in Chechnya. Fear and dread are not in his voice as he makes this assessment of the Russian dictator's demonstrated ruthlessness and seemingly endless tolerance for casualties. Wolf, however, thinks that his fellow countrymen are even more so. Neither current President Volodymyr Zelensky nor former President Petro Poroshenko have ever been able to gain the trust of the Ukrainian people. We have to rely on ourselves. We're not going to sit around and wait for instructions. Attack, defend, assault, ambush, it doesn't matter, just do it. This is our territory. They can come, but there's no one here to greet them, he clarified later. Everything has become routine for us. Ukrainians are welcome just about anywhere. We can find water anywhere, even in the middle of the desert. The Ukrainian government, Wolf argues, has to prepare people for the next stage of the war. At the outset of the war, the Russian army made a hasty attempt to seize Kyiv, which was located a short distance to the east of here. The city was invaded by Spetsnaz special forces backed by airborne operations and the anticipated rapid advance of tanks and other armored vehicles from the north. The outcomes were very different in two Kyiv suburbs. Volunteers from the local community aided Ukrainian regular army troops and the Territorial Defense Forces, the country's equivalent of the Army Reserves, during the battle for Irpin. One of the early key Ukrainian victories was the repulse of the invading Russian forces, and the Ukrainian Defense Ministry awarded the city of Irpin the honorary title of Hero City of Ukraine, in recognition of the mass heroism and resilience of the residents and the defenders. However, just a little further north in Bucha, a nightmare unfolded. A civilian massacre that left dozens of bodies in the streets and more than 400 dead. Russian soldiers executed Ukrainian civilians ranging in age from the elderly to teenagers, and then they used the phones belonging to the victims to make calls to their families. Bucha. The people may not have been ready, Wolf speculated. Above, a poster reads, Security Service of Ukraine, defending Ukraine together. The Ukrainian Special Forces and intelligence agencies are part of the Security Service of Ukraine, also known as the SBU, short for Služba bezpeki Ukrainy. According to the Constitution of Ukraine, it is part of the armed forces and reports to the head of state. Addendum. I was in Kovel's City Hall when the air raid siren went off, as I mentioned at the end of yesterday's morning jolt. According to Mayor Cheka and his staff, there may go days without an air raid alert, or there may be as many as 4 in a single day. Ukraine is divided into 24 oblasts, which are similar to states or provinces, and all 24 of them sound their air raid sirens at the first sign of danger. Volyn Oblast is roughly the size of New Jersey, and I am currently within its borders. You could be quite a ways away from the possible target area when the alarm sounds. Perhaps this explains why nobody seemed particularly bothered by it when I brought it up yesterday. Someone yesterday said, a pundit isn't a reporter, after finding out I was in Ukraine. Well, this one is.